Good evening, fuckers. We are back with the next Train Simulator Classic request video. And this one is a request from Northlander. Yes, he's back. First request we've had from him for quite a while. Well, I say quite a while. This entire playlist hasn't even been going 6 months. So it's, yeah, quite a while by the standards of this thing anyway. So, yeah, what he actually requested and what we're actually going to do, I've bent the rules somewhat with this one. So he wanted to do a route that is entirely within Scotland, and he very specifically wanted the Class 92 loco, and he wanted wintry weather with like blizzard conditions. Now, the weather, actually even that isn't exactly sort of like nailed on. The fact that he wants the Class 92 means obviously it needed to be a route that has electrification. So most of the routes that I have that are entirely with Scotland, in fact I'd say all of the routes entirely within Scotland, are too short really to use a Class 92. So I then thought, okay, if you do West Coast Main Line North, Carlisle to Glasgow Central, that is just over 100 miles. So that's got a good distance. And I mean, Carlisle is so close to the Scottish border, we're only going to be like, you know, a few minutes in to this run and we'll already be in Scotland. So it is pretty much, you know, entirely within Scotland. So, oh yeah, okay. Then when I first put this together, I put together a Freight 92. It's what the 92 is used the vast majority of the time. But he then mentioned something about, actually I can't remember exactly what he wrote, but it gave a very distinct impression that he was thinking of being a passenger. And he was looking at it from the point of view of being a passenger on a train in this really harsh weather. So that's where I thought, okay, well, if it's going to be a Class 92 that's a passenger service, it's got to be the Caledonian Sleeper. It's the only passenger service that the 92 actually does. Although I asked him if he could clarify if that's what he meant, you know, was it to be the Caledonian Sleeper, and I think he completely misread it, because all he did was confirm, yes, it is the Class 92. Well, yeah, I knew that. Yeah. I didn't know what role of a 92 we were after, so I've had to sort of guess. And then with regards to the weather, let's say he asked for blizzard, but he did want a lot of snow around. Well, there's a lot of snow on the ground in winter, but if I was to select cloudy snow, the snow falls quite gently. It's not blizzard or really sort of like harsh conditions at all. Whereas stormy, okay, it's raining, it's not snow, but it really does resemble a blizzard. This howling gale, the conditions are clearly absolutely awful, and it's going to yeah, it's going to make driving this thing quite the challenge. So I thought, okay, yeah, we'll do that. The other thing is, he wanted it in daylight. Well, a sleeper in daylight will have reached its destination, especially in winter. So again, I've had to sort of improvise a bit here. So yeah, what I've come up with is, yeah, this wintry weather has played absolute havoc with this Caledonian Caledonian Sleeper service. It's 9:30 and it's only got as far as Carlisle. Now, Carlisle is not normally a stop for the Caledonian Sleeper, but in this case it's had to do it because the conditions have dictated so. But once I get into the cab, amazingly we'll have received notification that the way ahead is clear enough for us to proceed. So we will need to get to Glasgow ASAP. But seeing as this is a sleeper, this service would have started running at 1:45, obviously the day before. And here we are now at 9:30 and we are still not even in Scotland yet. So yeah, the passengers, as comfortable as the cabins are, well, I say that, they're not that comfortable, they are quite small and cramped, but nevertheless, it's more than just a regular seat for most passengers anyway. But yeah, as comfortable as they are, they're probably not going to be too delighted that 9:30 and we are only in Carlisle, when we should have been actually at Glasgow about 4 hours ago. So, right, anyway, that is the setup. Bit of a convoluted setup, but there you go, that is the setup done. So let's get this up and running. And here we are. So if we take a look outside, you can hear the howling gale. You can see there's plenty of snow everywhere, and it does even resemble snow coming down in a blizzard, even though it's actually rain. So I think it works out quite well. Anyway, we need to get our train set up. Alright, so put cab lights on for now. I might keep them on actually, because I think we are going to need them. Right, it is daylight running, despite the fact that yeah, it really isn't daylight conditions. I think that is, oh no, instrument lights definitely need on. Yeah, I think actually we can turn the cab light off. Yeah. Right, I don't need to change the brake timings because, yeah, obviously we are doing a passenger service here. So that means that with the exception of the... Here we go, right. Now I think we are all set. Somewhere here is the controls for the windscreen wiper of the on the other windscreen. Where are they? Yeah, here they are. Except I can't do them from here, so oh well. We're only going to be having this one windscreen wiper on. So let's take another look at our Class 92 now that everything is set up. And if we look at the back, yep, the final Caledonian Sleeper, which can't fit on the platform because the train is far too long. Yeah, so it looks like something is missing from that rear light. Oh well. Okay, let's get the brakes off. So Glasgow Central is 102.07 miles away. Yeah, those brakes come down a hell of a lot faster in these timings than the ones that I'm used to when driving this train. So anyway, I've set the speed set to 20, which is our current speed limit. I think we are going to have to be pretty cautious as we go up to speed. So we have this fault here, but that's because I've isolated the DVD thing, so that is nothing to worry about. Put the throttle up to 100%, doesn't really make much difference. We are at the 20 limit. Yeah, unfortunately with the Mark III sleeper coaches, we do not have the passenger views. Needless to say that, yeah, they are well away from the conditions that we are making our way through. So on a 1 in 100 downhill gradient here, brakes are actually, it looks like the brakes are not needed, especially as we are now in a 60 zone. So let's bump up our speed set and get properly moving. We are entering a 95 zone. Of course that means we will be able to go our top speed. 87 is the best we can do. So it's going to take us in the region of an hour and a half. Yeah, I must admit I wouldn't mind actually being on a train in this sort of weather. You can see the arcing pantograph here. Yeah, this sort of weather is where you're really going to see that quite a bit. We're now in a 95 zone, so let's put speed set up to maximum, which is 87. Somewhere in here, yeah, right there, it has the max speed, 140 kilometers an hour, which is 87 mph. But because this thing was originally built to take sleeper services through the Channel Tunnel, yeah, it does have kilometers an hour as yeah, you can set the speed to be shown in that. But for this run, yeah, we're staying in Blighty, so we are sticking with good old MPH, because at least I know what that means. So it hasn't taken us particularly long to get to our top speed, despite the fact that conditions are terrible. These rails are going to be very slippery, but this is a very modern loco, and yeah, the things like anti-wheel slip protection, yeah, it's got a really good system for that. Now if you're wondering why it's so dark, even though we were asked for daylight, yeah, this is daylight. when it comes to winter and blizzard conditions. This is as much daylight as we get. I mean, it is quite early, and when we're as far north as Carlisle, it does seem to stay dark for a lot longer in this game. As we reached an area that took a bit of loading. I have so much DLC installed in this thing now that I guess I've got no choice but to put up with that. We are approaching a 125 mph section. We've just been through a neutral section there, but yeah, we don't really have much to worry about in this thing when we go through neutral sections. It's only yeah, those locos with tap changes that need to worry about that. All that smoke seemed to be coming from some sort of bonfire. Not particularly realistic seeing that in this sort of weather, but there you go. No idea what river that was. I was going to open the window so I could hear things a bit better, but yeah, it's probably not a good idea. So let's increase the motor factor instead, which makes it a bit louder. In fact, it hasn't really made a great deal of difference, so I think it's, yeah, the main thing it's done is within the cab here, it's made the sort of rumble sound as we are going along a bit louder, and the sound of the wind rushing by. But the fact that we've got it in this sort of stormy conditions means that it's already pretty loud to begin with. So I think we are now actually in Scotland. Gretna Junction, well, of course that is right on the very border. And the Gretna Junction is where, if we were on the starting at the MOD, I think is it Longtown MOD, which is where I was going to start the recent Class 56 freight run video that had us going, you know, had us moving the tanks and all that. Yeah, that's where that one was going to start. But starting there meant that I could only do very short runs, so yeah, we started in Carlisle yet again. Number of videos I've done where we start in Carlisle. If anyone's trying to predict what my videos are going to be, then either starting in Carlisle or finishing in Exeter is usually a pretty good, you know, pretty fair shout. So there's a bit of daylight was starting to poke through the clouds there. We can see it reflected on the windscreen. So looks like there is a slight break in the clouds somewhere, but yeah, I sure as hell can't see it. Now obviously, being a sleeper service, we are not stopping anywhere else until we reach Glasgow Central. There will probably be a few stations where we will need to reduce our speed a bit, but for the most part we are able to just cruise along at max speed here. Yeah, it is a bit of a shame that we can't view the passenger cabs, or the inside of them anyway. I'm not sure if we are going to get much in the way of trackside views. I think it's going to all be these the usual overhead ones. We'll give it one last try. Yeah. We'll try again in a bit. We'll also hope that we don't get any faults appearing here, but at least I now know what to do if one should appear. There we go, there's a fault right there. I acknowledged it without even reading what it was, but I think we'll be okay. I mean, we'd only done 15 miles and the first fault cropped up, so I have a feeling this weather could end up causing a few such potential problems. So yeah, if the faults come along on average, every 15 miles, then we're going to have 7 of them on this run. Yes, it has taken me that long to work it out. Well, we are entering a 125 zone again, not really making a huge difference for us. so we are entering, yeah, the fucking region. We've got another fault here. Let's see what this one says. I think it might be because I've got the throttle on full, so we've had 2 faults already. But we don't need to be running at 100% throttle at all, actually. As long as the speed is, well, yeah, there's enough throttle to ensure that the speed is going up. So yeah, we'll reduce the throttle down to 58. And yeah, we're not losing speed, so that's good enough. So it's telling us that the speed set is active and that we're on the 25 kilovolt power. Well, we didn't really need telling of that. Not sure which of the displays is the most useful at the moment. Obviously, if another fault does crop up, we will, you know, the display will change to that straight away. So yeah, it's not like we're going to miss any, you know, any faults that come along just because the display is set to this screen. So this consist is slightly shorter than the full Caledonian Sleeper. That would have 16 coaches. We have 14. Now, obviously, yes, this flashing yellow is for us. Actually had us speeding there, or very close to it. Now, if we are going to be taken over points, that would suggest that we are going to need to slow down. I'm going to reduce the speed set to 45. In fact, it's 40 we need to be reducing to, and brakes are a bit slow to respond. I think we'll be okay, but yeah, we will be. Right, so I'll turn the brakes off. We'll put the throttle back up to about 56, so it can take us back up to 40 mph. But yeah, at least unlike when we did this route in the Class 89, we will be going over these points at the right speed. So yeah, we're in the 40 zone before the route display showed us as being there. Essentially, once we've left the Lockerbie station, we will be able to go back up to, well, it says 125, but yeah, for us, 87. So yeah, here we are at Lockerbie. Minus any bits of pan down 747s. I think it was a 747. I mean, Lockerbie has never struck me as being like a major Scottish town. The only reason anyone really knows of it is because of the air crash. But it seems as though this route does treat it as a major stop. So anyway, we're back in the 125 zone. Let's get our speed back up to max. Quite surprised we're able to yeah, accelerate quite well. There's no wheel slip. I thought we were going to have to deal with quite a bit of that, but no, we're all right. We are pretty much there. Take the throttle down a bit now to 51. Yeah, it's still good enough. So I think the next station is Carlisle. And that's the station where, if we were actually going to Edinburgh, that's where we would turn off from the West Coast Main Line. Unfortunately, there is a freeware version of that route. It's not been very well done. Even the people who did it have admitted there are a couple of stations where none of the assets show, and that was enough to put me off bothering with it. And we're already 30 miles into this journey, so it's yeah, it's not taking long at all. So I mean, we would have some fantastic scenery here if we could see it clearly. We can still see enough to see that yeah, it looks great. But yeah, obviously it's not the Highlands, and really when you're in the lowlands here, you do want to be on the east coast rather than the west coast, because on the east coast, as you're going through the borders area, you've got some really nice sort of hilly areas that you're going through. Every time I've been to Scotland, or at least every time that I can remember, we've always arrived at Scotland through the on the east coast. We always drive through there on the A1M. Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic drive. I mean, driving through Scotland is, you know, any driver in the UK, it's something you have to do at some point. But once you've crossed the border and yeah, you're driving through the borders area, you then want to start heading west as soon as you can, unless actually an alternative, stick to the east side, go up through the Cairngorms. That's a fantastic drive through the Cairngorms. It really is nice there. And then once you reach Inverness, you then follow that the road across, basically following the Caledonian Canal to Fort William. You've seen in the game the scenery around Fort William, and because around there you've got Glencoe, which again looks fantastic. Right. Saying again that there was another fault, but that can't have been as a result of me yeah, using too much power. I've taken us down to 44%, so it must be the weather is causing all of these faults that keep cropping up. Not that surprising really. I mean, it's the middle of winter, it's absolutely pouring down, and you know, we've got a blowing bloody gale outside, and we're in a train that is relying on a constant electricity supply. So in these sort of conditions, I think passengers would be hoping that, or may even prefer, having a class 802 or an 805, which could switch to diesel mode if the electrical supply could fail, and in this weather that is something that could certainly happen. I mean, it's not going to happen in the game, but I mean in real life it is certainly a possibility. Let's just increase the power slightly back up to 52, because we have dropped off a couple of mph. So according to our ETA, we are an hour away from Glasgow. We are just over 65 miles. So yeah, we're very nearly 40 miles into the journey, and it really has just flown by. See if we can get any trackside views here. Well, it would have been a trackside view if it had been anywhere but there. So, yeah, what a hopeless view that was. Anyway, so we're now on the BTEC uphill section. We've got a bit of a climb ahead of us. And in this weather, this could be a real task. Because although we are certainly not lacking in the horsepower to get over it, but we've got slippery rails and everything else. So hopefully the momentum will be enough to... Jesus Christ, that was quite a bump. But yeah, hopefully the rails, hopefully our momentum will be enough to help. It's now 1 in 80. I'm going to put us up into full power because, yeah, we were decelerating there. I mean, I could have used the boost here, but to be honest, we really don't need it. The only time I've ever needed to use that boost is when we're on the HS1 line. Because there are some ludicrously steep gradients on that one. But yeah, you can see here we are 1 in 80 uphill. We're having no problems at all. We're still climbing. It's now got steeper, 1 in 75. This is where Class 92 really has advantage over the high-speed trains, because yeah, it's lower gear ratios and stuff like that, as well as the sheer grunt it has from the huge amount of horsepower it's got. Yeah, it is able to maintain its speed on a climb like this really quite easily. The high-speed trains would be losing speed all the while as they go up this up the Beatook hill here. So we are starting to get some views that are more akin to you know, the rugged sort of Scottish terrain that we sort of associate with the country. It looked like we passed them a work party back there with its very high vis van. So perhaps, yeah, some work on the rails is a distinct possibility, especially, as I say, with weather like this. So we're now in the 90 zone, so if there is a further speed reduction, thankfully there isn't, yeah, we would have really would have actually had to act on it. So very nearly on the summit. So now we can reduce the amount of power we are using. And as we start going down the other side, we can pretty much throttle down and cruise down it, or coast down there even. So with the speed set actually active, it would even do the brakes for us and keep us at well, for us, our top speed at 87. I mean, track speed is about to line speed, I should say, is about to go up to 110. There it is. Brakes are very, very slow to react. They haven't even come on yet. Well, I'm going to have to do it for them then. I wonder if the fact that we have power at 0%, I wonder if that's why the the speed set wasn't responding to the increase in our speed. As it is, we're off the slope now, so we can start accelerating again. Downhill section was a hell of a lot shorter than I was expecting it to be. So there's a neutral section we've just been through. we've gone up above the 87 again. We are on another downhill section as well. So let's see what happens. It is 1 in 150. It's steep enough, but yeah, we don't seem to be gaining speed at the moment. I think if it was any steeper than this 1 in 150, then yeah, we would be gaining speed. So ETA continues to go down. Current ETA is 11 AM. So that's only 45 minutes. Distance to Glasgow is 45.5 miles, so yeah, we really have been chewing up the miles at a really hefty rate. Okay, let's get some speed up again. So we're in a 90 zone, which is supposed to be a speed reduction, but yeah, for us, we're still accelerating up to that speed. Also, I imagine we're probably holding up a few, you know, HSTs behind us. And bearing in mind the amount of and length of the 125 mph sections, or 120s, as we have one of those coming up in 1.25 miles, and yet throughout all of those, of course, the best we've been able to do is 87. So yeah, I would imagine we are holding up several. Like I say, we are rather late. You know, he's still not reached Glasgow and it's gone 10:15, and the passengers on this thing would not be amused. God dear, yes. It was not the smoothest part of the line that we've traversed. Sounds like we've just been through a neutral section just there. Didn't look it, unless, well, I'm not sure what it was. Looked like there was another work party there. It just went by on the on our right, no, on our left. Again, it sounded like there was a bit of a surge there. Now, was that because of, I'm wondering actually if it was wheel slip, and it was the anti-wheel slip protection colour kicking in. I thought I did see something come up in that bar on the display, but it wasn't there long enough for me to read it. But yeah, it could well have been the wheel slip, or the anti-wheel slip protection anyway. another speed reduction, but as is so often the case, we don't need to do anything. We are gaining speed though. Very nearly, yeah, there you are, we were over the 87 limit. The brakes are not kicking in. I'm wondering if that is, again, because of the one of the faults or something. And that's why yeah, the brakes are really not doing anything at all. Or at least the speed set isn't using them, I should say. I mean, the brakes are still working as far as I'm aware, but nah. So we have another, and it's a 40. We'll set the speed set to 40 and see if it is actually going to use the brakes at all. It really does not look like it. Still nothing there. Right, well, I'm going to have to start using them myself, because that 40 is fast approaching and we have not begun slowing down at all. Okay, so we are now fine. So much so we can actually start accelerating back up to 40. We go through another neutral section. Not a great place to put it. So this is the Carlisle's station. I think it's constantly putting us on an avoiding loop. So we are approaching another yellow aspect signal. May need to start braking here because, well, I can't see the signal. No, it's this one. Well, that's saying it's okay, I think. Yeah, it is. That was also more of a goods signal than anything. I think we're okay, but we'll take it a bit slow until I can see what this next signal is. Is that it there? I think it is. Yep, it is. So we're now back in the 95 zone, which for us means we're back at the max speed again. And we've got another fault. It's just an exceedance issue again. That's what it always comes up with. The thing is, as soon as we acknowledge it, it's like it's gone away. So yeah, nothing really to worry about. So anyway, that was, well, Carlisle's, but we avoided it. So I think the next station that we'll be going through, well, the next major station anyway, is Motherwell. And we know from a recent video I did in the 318, Motherwell is really not that far from Glasgow Central. We've got about 14-15 miles before we get there, so there could well be a few small, like, yeah, commuter stations and that we'll be passing through. Okay, so we are fine now. Drop the speed, or drop the throttle down to 47. So you're up here just a bit, up to 52. There's 1 in 200 climb. And we need a bit more than 52% to maintain our 87 mph. Another power surge just then, but that was definitely not having gone through a neutral section. I can only assume it's something to do with all these faults we've been having. So, Carlisle station coming up. Certainly don't need to still be at 74% throttle. We are actually going downhill at 1 in 130, so yeah, we certainly don't need to be So here is Carlisle station. Sure, they've had plenty of Caledonian Sleepers going through that station, but not at this time of day. We have a speed reduction coming up, down to 80. Again, the brakes are not coming on. Oh, do it ourselves again. In fact, we've got to come down to 60. So we shall continue braking. We're fine for the upcoming 70 mph section. There we go, we're fine for the 60 that's coming up as well. We're in the 60 zone. So it looks like it is now using the brakes to slow us down. I can now up us to 70. And we'll soon, as in now, be able to take us back up to the max again. So we're approaching another neutral section at Wishaw, home of John Higgins. And next station, Shieldmuir. So here's the neutral section. So is this town that we're going through here, is this Wishaw or is it Shieldmuir? Shieldmuir station right here. Yeah, very uninspired modern station. And here comes Motherwell. We will need to slow down for this. Now we already know from past experience that it's not going to apply the brakes, so we'll apply them for it. We are on this 1 in 150 downhill, so we'll take the speed down beyond 80. Because, yeah, we are very slowly accelerating again. Certainly not enough to worry about. So yeah, here we are at Motherwell, just approaching the station right here. So yeah, there we are, Motherwell station. So we are entering the 90 zone. Be able to go back up to maximum once we are actually in there. There we go. One in 100 downhill, giving us quite a bit of help on the old acceleration front. I'm not sure we really need it. Yeah, still accelerating. We're at 89. Let's bring that speed down. So it's now 1 in 135. That's still, I think, enough for us to be accelerating if we were not braking. In fact, we are still decelerating. So Uddingston station is just over a mile down the line. So into a 90 zone, very close to our max. Here we are at Uddingston. I mean, there is at least a building on the station platform. do have another speed reduction down to 80. I mean, we will be less than 7 miles from Glasgow by the time we reach that 80 zone, so I guess the speed reductions are going to be coming along at a sort of regular rate at this point. We have Cambuslang station before Glasgow. Surely that's the last station. I do seem to recall there is a station right, you know, pretty close to Glasgow Central. Or is that on the line to Glasgow Queen Street that I'm thinking of? Set the speed set to 75 because that is coming up. So yeah, here is Cambuslang station. Yeah, again, it has a very modern station look to it because there's not a whole hell of a lot there. I suspect, yeah, 75, it's not going to get any faster than that. We are just 4 miles from Glasgow Central. So it's 30 coming up. And it doesn't stay at 30 for very long. In fact, it's probably not worth us continuing to use the speed set. Let's just turn it off completely. So we're fine for the 30 mph section. We are on a 1 in 155 downhill, which is actually causing us to pick up speed, which we really do not want. Looks like we are going to be going over points. So into the 25 zone. There we are. We're now fine for the 20 zone that is coming up, that we're very nearly entering. There we are. At the moment, all the signals are all seemingly telling us that we're heading to, oh I see, it's telling us the line we're on, not the platform we are heading to. Yeah, we are going to platform 10, that's where we're due to arrive. Surprised there was no AWS for that double yellow. Very much to be expected. Here is the single yellow, which again expected, and that is telling us platform 10, so yeah, that's fine. Yes, I was just going to say we need to bring ourselves down to 15, and I did it slightly too late. I have a horrible feeling that was the first speeding error. So we had a completely clear run right up until we were about to enter Glasgow Central station. Let's bring us down before TPWS gets triggered. There we go. I don't think we are going to get the entire train on the platform here. No, doesn't look like there's any chance of that. But this is where the train would now be broken up, and yeah, half of it will be heading on to Fort William. So the other half will be going somewhere, but I don't know where. But yeah, there we are. That was Carlisle to Glasgow Central in a very late Class 92 Caledonian Sleeper, going right the way through one almighty blizzard, some truly horrible weather, and I think it did impact on some of the train systems, because yeah, it was not a particularly smooth run. Let's see how we did. There you go, one speeding error, and I was right at Glasgow Central when it happened. So yeah, I was that close to a completely clean run on a route that yeah, was over 100 miles in length. But not to be. Nevertheless, I can't complain about how well I did there. It was not too bad. Yeah, especially as the 92, it's braking in its speed set, it just wasn't doing it. So I can only assume one of those faults that cropped up was responsible for that. So anyway, yeah, not bad going. So that brings this video to an end, and we will see you at the next one.